study and probably find questions.
Okay. All right, let me.
Woody?
So, I know there are a number of questions have come up related to traffic, and so we wanted to provide an opportunity for people to ask our expert, in this case, Kimley Horn, John Walker, and Harrison Porter did the traffic analysis on this for this case. And so I wanted to give them a chance to answer any questions that y'all have. As you know, this is a DRI. So they have done the study consistent with the standards that have been put out by ARC and Greta for DRI traffic studies. And that process is underway. They submitted the traffic study. It is under review. It's due to come back out of ARC and Greta in the middle of this month. So we'll know more in 2 or 3 weeks. But for the moment, we have the traffic. And John is here to answer any questions.
Excuse me, could someone over there make the sound a little more legible, audible?
Can you? Did anyone hear? Was there a
Hey,
problem
Woody.
with the sound?
Hey, Woody, I could hear you. This is John Walker
Okay.
with Kimley Horn. I'll jump in and let everyone know that the development of regional impact DRI, we did actually have a methodology meeting on May 24th. And so all the various government agencies are in the room: ARC, Greta, City of Atlanta, Buckhead CID, GDOT. And basically we go through the methodology and the study parameters that we, Kimley Horn, the things that we have to look at, the assumptions, the number of intersections, how we collect data, how do we modify and adjust the data if we collected it during COVID, how does that happen? What does that look like? What's the acceptable methodology on how we inflate or increase traffic volumes to account for that? And then all that gets debated for about a week. And then on June 4th, Greta issued a letter of understanding to us that basically gave us the detailed specifics of how we collect the data, how we analyze the data, how we grow the traffic, what other developments do we account for, what other road improvement projects do we account for. So basically it's our marching orders. We did receive that on June 4th. We did turn in the traffic study. All those various agencies get the traffic study. It's my understanding that it's still being reviewed. ARC, their final report we expect on August the 12th. And Greta, which will have DRI conditions, we will get a set of conditions that will come out of this process on August the 20th. So I can't tell you right now today what types of conditions will be placed on us. We'll know better as we get closer to August 20th. There are intersection improvement projects planned and programmed for the area. I can go through intersection by intersection and let you know what all's already planned, and then we can actually look at the site plan, we can look at the driveways, and we can just really go through whatever type of questions or information you need at that point. I kind of really leave it up to you all what direction you want to go. I just want to give you that preamble there on the front end.
Well, Peter, why don't you take off and talk about turning south on out of the project onto Wieuca, if that's a fair place to start. You're muted, by the way. You're muted.
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. Can you go to figure 10 of your DRI? Or can you show figure 10? Can somebody do that?
Okay, figure 10. This is John Walker. I'm sharing my screen right now. Tell me if you can see figure 10.
Yes, I can see figure 10. So if I'm looking at this correctly, well, first of all, for people coming from North Wieuca Road or from Phipps Boulevard, the way into the project is through driveway D, is that correct? It's the only way.
So we have six different driveways that we can use
I'm
depending on
saying
what
if you're
direction.
coming south
On
on
Wieuca.
Wieuca or on Phipps Boulevard, the only way to get in is driveway D, other than going all the way around the Mulberry Bush.
Yeah, driveway D is at the R cut. If I say R cut, I guess you know, and here's the screen here. That's this location here.
Yes,
and
I know
which
that.
would take you into the deck that's going to go right here.
Okay,
That would be a very
okay, go back to
Good way.
figure 10 now.
okay.
Okay, according to figure 10, if I understand it correctly, this is the situation at peak hours, correct?
The morning, yes, the morning rush hour and also the afternoon rush hour.
Okay, so if I'm looking at this correctly, for the, I guess it is the morning rush hour on Wieuca Road now going north, there are 1,300 cars going by in that hour. Is that a correct reading?
Which intersection are you at?
I am
Intersection.
Wieuca Road, I'm looking at Wieuca Road as it approaches D, as it approaches driveway D.
Okay, here. Yes.
Correct.
1,332 vehicles in the morning rush hour. That's in two
Yeah.
lanes. That's correct.
And there are 170 something cars wanting to make that left turn.
That's right.
Okay, so so that cars turning left there have to go through those 1,300 cars
hmm
and through 2 bike lanes to make that turn. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, 1,300 cars per hour averages to 1 car every 3 seconds. How is that possible?
Well, the good news is the signal down here, because of Peachtree getting the majority of the green time, the traffic actually turning onto Wieuca to go north. There's going to be a lot of gaps in the traffic to allow
No, there
that
was,
left turn.
my experience is there will be no gaps, because in my experience, or if you look at your own map, that when a light is green, people are coming from, there are the 400 and some odd cars coming from, I guess it's Roxborough Road. And otherwise, when it's the other thing, there are people turning left or right from Peachtree. I don't think there can be any gaps at all.
This is the one thing that you may find interesting that's going to probably be very helpful. So when the roundabout is constructed, and this is the left that you're talking about on the screen here, I probably should spin it around. Do you mean to spin it around to get the orientation?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Because the church driveway here is going to be eliminated, if you probably remember the history of the roundabout, the designers of the roundabout were pretty nervous about this area here, right here, this little area here, that little short left that goes into that existing church driveway.
Right,
Well,
that's not going to be there anymore.
That's going to go away. So we'll be able to use all this left turn for stacking. So the left turn you just mentioned will
Yes,
actually be able to have all that
I
lane.
actually measured that, including that. And the total stacking is perhaps 15 cars. It's no more than that, without backing up into the roundabout. I can't see how you came up with allowing 176 cars to make a left turn in 1 hour with 3-second intervals between cars. It's just not possible.
Hey, John, let me
Hey.
interrupt for 1 second.
Sure.
One thing that you need to talk about is the
Mhm.
difference in the improvement the CID is making at Peachtree and Wieuca, and taking away that free right, which right now leads to a lot more people coming through the intersection
So
and
this is,
will happen in the future.
so this is Peachtree and Wieuca. So the intersection that we're talking about is this left here. And so this some people call this a slingshot right. I'm not really sure where that comes from, but there's a yield condition for the right turns here. What they're going to do is get rid of this asphalt, and right turns will actually have to come up to the stop bar and actually turn right. And so there's not going to be this free flow right movement. It's going to be a hard right, very similar to, a normal intersection where you have, a right turn, just a normal right turn radius. So they're going to get rid of this pavement here, and basically right turns will be made out of this lane here. So that will help meter that flow, and now obviously the speed of that movement as well. So that's one of the things that the Buckhead CID is working on right now.
Okay,
I
but
think
that's
that's
not
helpful.
going to change the number of cars that's going to be on the road there.
Well, believe it or not, that's not a shocking number to me. So we feel very comfortable with this R-cut left maneuver. I mean, it's already there today. And this is honestly, this is a great place for our cars to turn to get into the deck. Otherwise, they'd have to come all the way down here. They'd have to make a hard left on the Peachtree, come down to Peachtree Dunwoody, make either a U-turn or another left. And so not forcing them down here to make this left onto Peachtree and not forcing them Peachtree to Peachtree Dunwoody left, I think is a very good thing. So avoiding those two, left turns, I think is a good thing.
I still don't see how those cars are going to cross with a car
Well-
passing every 3 seconds.
Well,
And another
Okay.
another question, another issue that I have.
Hey, wait,
Now-
Peter,
now that
wait,
you mention it.
Hold on. Let me ask you to follow up. You did not answer his assertion that the turn in going south into it, the lane is only good for about 20 cars. Is that accurate?
At most.
I can measure it, or Harrison's on the call. I mean,
I
sure.
measured it. It's 200 feet.
I believe you.
Around
I believe
200
you.
feet.
I believe you if you measured it. Okay.
It's
I don't think
200
you're
feet.
ever going to see 20 cars in a queue there at that location.
Oh, nonsense. How can the 176 cars turn with a car coming by every 3 seconds? It can't
Well,
happen.
they've helped that by putting everybody through the light with
It's 3 cars. It's 3 cars a minute, right? 3 cars a minute turning left.
No,
No, we're talking about.
no,
turning.
it's
No,
30
no.
cars a minute turning left.
No, 178 cars in an hour.
You're looking at the
100.
wrong graph.
It's the same one, Peter.
Oh, yeah.
178 cars in an hour divided by 60 minutes. That's 3 cars per minute.
Yeah. And it's 1 car passing every 3 seconds. How can you turn ever?
Well, the like I said, the gap in the signal provides the gaps so that those 3 cars or 6 cars can turn every cycle.
There are 400 cars coming from straight across there, and all the rest are turning. So no matter what color the light is, there are always going to be cars coming. I
When's
don't,
You go out there today and you can make an easy left. You go out there pre-COVID, you can make an easy left. It happens all the time.
yes, but we're not talking about 178 cars. If you look at your current thing, nobody turns left there.
Right.
Nobody turns left there. Now,
So
Now,
Peter,
you had another topic?
oh,
hold
just
on one
another
second.
question based on what you just said about getting rid of that right turn lane. I was very upset, I was very upset when they took the right turn lane, excuse me, they took the right turn lane. How are the pedestrians going to cross the street if that right turn lane is removed? How are the pedestrians?
So
gonna cross
the peds
Peachtree
will,
Road?
so the pedestrians will go from corner to corner to corner to corner to corner. So because it'd be from this corner. So there wouldn't be any pavement here. This would just be a corner. This would just be a corner, a standard corner. So that's how pedestrians would cross. They wouldn't cross and then have another crossing here. That crossing where my hand is goes away.
No,
John,
that's what makes it worse.
John, if you pull up the roundabout concept graphic, you can see the slingshot right removed.
Well, and that's not our improvement, but
No,
the reason they're doing that is for pedestrian safety, to make it safer for pedestrians, because that slingshot right makes it very unsafe for pedestrians.
This
I-
right here, the light
totally
gray,
agree with
the
you
light
on that.
gray is the light gray is
When
the
you got
slingshot
rid
right.
of the,
So
when you got rid of the right turn lane on the other side of Wieuca Road, on the other side of Wieuca Road, there's no slingshot lane. And now, if you want to cross that street, you're going to get run over no matter which way the light is, because either the traffic is turning right and hitting you, or turning right off of Wieuca and hitting you, or the traffic going straight through on Peachtree is going to hit you. So
Wouldn't a pedestrian who hits the button to cross the road, wouldn't that stop all traffic so the
No.
pedestrians can cross?
No, it would not. It
Why
does
not?
not stop all the traffic. It does not stop the right turn traffic.
You still have to yield though.
But people,
All I'm
people,
saying is that,
people don't-
that the only thing, that thing was much safer because we cross that street all the time. Well, before they took that out, because the way it is, when you have the right turn lane, then when the light's green, you can cross, you can see where the cars are coming from. But the way it is now, the cars are coming from every direction at every time. Getting rid of that is not a pedestrian safety thing. Absolutely not.
well, I would disagree there, Peter. I use that intersection a lot, and people that make that right-hand turn lane, first of all, they don't even yield to the yield sign there, and secondly, they're not aware that the crosswalk has they can't see the crosswalk activation.
Yeah.
From where they are making that right-hand turn. I see it in the morning all the time. I stop all the time, but people don't, and those people are, fortunately, they stop at the but we have runners that don't stop, and they almost get hit because they're on the little
Well,
you know,
all I'm
the little
saying is
safety zone right there, and cars are not stopping.
I don't think it's necessarily an improvement for pedestrians, but
right
certainly
now.
not doing anything to reduce the number of cars that are heading northbound on Wieuca Road during rush hour, both rush hours.
Yeah.
And
So I have a question for so I've got this is Robert. I've got to get back into a meeting here. I'm in North Charleston right now, but so you guys use, what do you use? The cubic transportation systems modeling tool or something?
the model's
Right,
called,
to do
it's
the-
called, yeah, it's called Synchro is the model we use.
I think that's made by Cubic Defense Systems, Cubic Transportation, where they're a spin out of, they're part of Cubic, right?
I have
Yes,
no idea.
cubic and
Yeah,
trafficware.
traffic
Yeah,
aware. Yeah.
okay, all right. So the analysis, to answer Peter's question, the analysis uses some sort of discrete event simulation technology that should be able to determine the gaps and not a steady state a scenario like we've been saying, right?
That's correct. Yes.
And has the analysis proved or provided the comfort that the necessary time for a car to make that left-hand turn during those peak demand periods, for instance, can be substantiated in terms of the not the wholesale flow, but the event flow, like with the gaps
Yes.
gaps allowed there for the and everything.
Yes, and I will tell you the other positive, when there's a, if there were okay, you know, this is going to be a multi-lane roundabout. If and that's good in the sense that the flow around that roundabout is much better than, say, if it's a traffic signal and the traffic signal stops the cars and cars queue past the driveway. At that point, you just hope someone stops short and gives you a gap, right? That's what happens when traffic queues, you just get a gap. But this way, hopefully traffic will continue to move, and the model bears that out, that actually this is really going to work very, very nicely. I know y'all have seen the animations of the roundabout. It's really going to be a positive. Losing that driveway that's right here, that's at the church, that's going to be very much a positive. And using all that extra asphalt to serve that 178, it's actually going to work quite well. And I guess I should have mentioned the green arrows down here. This is down at Lennox. They're going to create, Buckhead CID has a project to have dual rights. turning onto Lennox to go back towards 400. And I know you know about Old Ivy, turn lane improvements in the signal. I just want to make sure I didn't want to miss the opportunity to tell you about those two projects. That was accounted for in the traffic study.
I would like to see the analysis of
Okay,
that turn at
sure.
rush hour, because there is
Okay.
absolutely no way that it can be possible. Plus the fact that you're underestimating the traffic anyway.
When do the improvements or the changes at Peachtree and Wieuca and I guess it's Phipps and Lennox happen?
Yeah, the Phipps and Lennox improvements by Buckhead CID, that's going to happen before Halloween of this year, according to Buckhead CID. And then the roundabout, the signal at Old Ivy, and then that slingshot right that's been mentioned, that'll happen. Construction will start mid 2022.
So the slingshot right elimination at Peachtree is associated with the roundabout.
Yeah, the
Project.
roundabout
right.
and the cycle track.
Okay.
Hey, Robert,
on-
those, by the way, those cars that are trying to squeeze in between 3-second gaps in traffic are also going through 2 bike lanes. I'm sure those drivers are really looking out for them bikes.
Any,
Okay.
go on to other
Okay.
questions?
What else?
Yeah, Tony, you've been a participant in all of these. Mr. Mills, what you got?
Thank you. So I guess 2 initial questions to John and Harrison.
Sure.
Did you guys do the study for the traffic study for the roundabout? I don't think you did.
No, I think Pond. I'm pretty sure Pond
On
is what I remember. We have the
Right.
data. We have their report. We have their model. We have their traffic. So we have access to
Okay.
all of that.
on the call that we had.
Yes.
I was,
Is that
I was
Sally?
about to say, I was about to say, Sally said on the last call and that that traffic report was done before both the church and the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, but it's being updated, right? Is that correct, Sally?
Yes, and it was actually Mark Lenters in
Yes.
your whatever office.
In
up
Midtown.
north
Yeah.
office, yeah.
Well, he's in Peachtree Corners now. Did a peer review of that report.
Right. He did the peer review and basically redrew the roundabout, gave it back to Pond. Pond tried to change it back. We redid it. So it has been looked at. And as a matter of fact, I have confirmed with both Mark Lenters and Jose with the city of Atlanta, and also Tyrus with the city of Atlanta. 2 different traffic engineers are all looking at all the study together.
So
So
my
it's being
question,
coordinated.
thank you, Sally. So my question, Harrison and John, is do you have, since that study was done before the 1 million square feet or whatever the number is for the church and also the Ritz-Carlton Hotel and condos, is there any
Right.
concern of that that'll have an adverse impact and glut the traffic circle, or just do you know?
Well, we added all that traffic in. We added all the Ritz traffic on top of their data, plus our proposed DRI that we're working on right now. In the moment, that traffic gets added in as well. So our volumes that we're modeling are higher than their set of volumes that they used.
Okay, but you're not opining on the traffic circle per se. You're just.
Well, I will. This is some commentary.
Okay.
Out of all these intersections out here, when it's all said and done, the one intersection that's going to work the best is the roundabout. It will
I agree.
outfunction and it will outperform all these other intersections.
I agree.
So
And we love
Yes.
the roundabout, and we care about the roundabout. I'm concerned about it. I certainly know Peter is. So here's my question. Bear with me for a minute. Let me frame it, if you will. Did you do?
Don't have too much context.
Well,
Keep going.
okay. Did you guys also do the traffic report, Harrison, you and John, on the Ritz-Carlton Hotel and condo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I won't go into too much context for you guys, but we've talked about this before. Here's my concern. As Peter said, cars going north or south rather on Wieuca but for that limited turn into driveway D, unless they go in the back way on E. If they can't make that left turn, they're going to go up to Peachtree, make a left. They're going to make a left on Peachtree Dunwoody, and they're going to come into the Peachtree Dunwoody entrance into the Ritz-Carlton Auto Plaza. So here's my concern. I think the improvements on Wieuca are great, but we have approximately an 80-foot wide auto plaza with two entrances, one on Peachtree, one on Peachtree Dunwoody Road, that serve not only the Ritz-Carlton development, or I'll call it the 3630 development, but also serves the church. Anyone that wants to enter the church from Peachtree comes through our Peachtree entrance or comes through our Peachtree Dunwoody entrance. So my concern is that since it's hard for people coming up Wieuca South to turn into the church, they're going to come up to Peachtree Dunwoody, or if they're coming down Peachtree, they're going to come through the plaza. This auto plaza is already undersized for the development. And as you know, based upon the proposed changes for the hotel, the entrance to the parking deck, three-lane entrance, is proposed to be moved to that narrow, steep Peachtree Dunwoody ramp or driveway. And it's proposed to be narrowed from 3 lanes to 2 lanes for all the traffic to the office building and the Ritz-Carlton residences. If you add the hotel and you add the church, what I believe will happen, and this is my question, once that auto plaza chokes up and gridlocks because of the traffic coming through it, the traffic is going to, in order to get into the church, basically people are going to be directed right back down to Wieuca going north in an effort to get back in. And I'm concerned that we've created a choke point that will not only destroy the ability for ingress and egress for any of the 3630 property, but also back up traffic on Peachtree and Peachtree Dunwoody, and ultimately drive traffic around to Wieuca. Do you believe that that's been adequately studied? The fact that the reconfiguration of the auto plaza, including the relocation of the driveway to that narrow, almost impossible to turn into Peachtree Dunwoody ramp, that's going to basically choke, along with the church development, I believe is going to result in significant congestion.
I believe, this is Sally again, I believe what I have witnessed myself is a lot of people, when they get the left turn lane going north or going, I guess, east on Peachtree, when the turn lane the signal gives them the left turn, they actually make a U-turn on Peachtree and come back in.
Correct. Very dangerous U-turn because of the traffic coming south on Peachtree Dunwoody, but yes.
Not when they've got the left turn signal, it's not.
Correct. But again, my question is to the traffic engineers, do you not see a glut? We have an 80-foot wide, basically 3-lane auto plaza with only one entrance on Peachtree, one entrance on Peachtree Dunwoody. And with the parking entrance being moved to that ramp, you've all but guaranteed that when you add the church traffic, that auto plaza is going to lock up and force people back onto Peachtree. It'll be like turning into Lenox Square. You won't be able to, so the traffic will back up on Peachtree and it'll back up on Peachtree Dunwoody. And if I'm trying to get to the church development, I'm going to give up on those entrances. But which, by the way, there's also pedestrian traffic up there. There's also people going to the parking lot. There's also people going to the office building, the restaurants, and the residences and the hotel. I don't see how the traffic engineers can't point out this is a serious problem waiting to happen that will spill traffic back up to the main roadways and will also drive people to Wieuca Road ultimately. It's the best way to get in and out of the church.
So you believe that folks will use the right in, right out here? Because this is the deck here. I guess, can you see my screen?
I can, yeah, and I do think they'll use that as much as possible. I think that's probably what you want, because it's going to be challenging to get through this auto plaza coming in through the 3630 development.
I would use this one if it were me.
Yeah,
certainly if I was coming, if I were coming this direction on Peachtree or north on Wieuca, I would just come straight through, and just right where my hand is, that's where the right in, right out is. I would use that right because it's right literally into the deck itself. So it's nice to be able to come from very different directions, so not one direction carries all the burden. The this left turn, the southbound left, gives you the ability to come into the deck but anything traveling in the northern, we love, as traffic engineers, we love right turns. We love right in, we love right out. So this right in, right out is a very valuable curb cut for the deck, and probably will be an easy right in, easy right out for the deck.
So do you have any concerns at all about this auto plaza getting congested?
I don't know. I don't really see the loads that you're fearing, I guess.
Well, are you using are you using COVID measures? Because obviously the traffic for everybody is considered. Well, so how do you get your measures if they're not adjusted for COVID and realizing that now traffic's coming back?
Yeah. We had to adjust it because of COVID. We have enough historic counts that we know what traffic is supposed to look and feel like pre-COVID. Right. And so we were able to use those. And I did the traffic study for the 3630 building. So I know what that traffic is supposed to be at full load. And so we use those full load volumes. I worked on the improvements out here on Peachtree Dunwoody, the side-by-side lefts. That was our recommendation, our traffic study, out here. So I guess I don't see maybe what you see.
Are you factoring in the relocation of the 3-lane, 36-foot entrance and exit gates into the parking deck being moved to that
to the Ritz? Because of the Ritz, that's what the Ritz is proposing, is to change their ingress egress.
Right.
Yes.
If that happens, do you not see that as creating a difficult issue for people getting in and out? That means every car coming in or out of that plaza, including those who want to go to the church, have to turn left or right in front of oncoming traffic and pedestrians. There will no longer be any ability to go into the parking deck or exit it going straight. And they're proposing to reduce it from 3 lanes to 2 lanes. I think that's insanity, and can't figure out why the traffic engineers aren't waving flags saying a lot of things are good, but that's a problem. And it's a problem for all of us. It's not just the auto plaza, it's the church. The church needs that Peachtree Dunwoody entrance, and they need the Peachtree Dunwoody entrance further
going further north.
Down. Yeah, which will be my next question, because there's a question about a road that goes there. But let's stay on the auto plaza. You don't see that as a concern?
Well,
that's a 27-foot driveway with, I don't know what the pitch is, but I would say 30% grade. And you're going to make every car turn left or right, in and out. That makes no sense. No sense. It can't happen. I mean, you're going to have cars lined up to get in and out of that parking deck. They're going to back up onto the auto plaza, and they're going to spill out onto Peachtree, Dunwoody, and Peachtree. It's clear.
I'm a little confused, Tony, as you say all of this. Is how it's the church's issue?
Oh, because the church
you described it. It looks like it's 3630's issue. The other ones didn't do a good job on planning.
No, because the church is trying to drive as much traffic as possible off of Wieuca and through Peachtree and Peachtree Dunwoody. And look, if I'm coming up Peachtree Dunwoody, coming south, I'd be much happier to cut through that auto plaza to get into the church through the easement right there. There you go. I'd much rather do that than get up on Peachtree. No one wants to go through Peachtree. And if you're on Peachtree, you want to turn right at that point to get off of the Peachtree, which is always flooded. So anybody trying to access the church through that auto plaza is going to have the same problem. They'll share the same problem as the 3630 development.
Tony, I wanted to mention one thing. You keep restating that they're trying to keep the traffic off of Wieuca, and that is true. Traffic north of the roundabout.
Right.
They are emphasizing the 2 entrances south of the roundabout and the Peachtree entrance.
Yes, and I agree with that. And I like that, except what it'll do is northbound traffic will basically have to turn left on Peachtree and left on Peachtree Dunwoody, except for the possible U-turn, which we find challenging. And they'll have to come in through that site driveway B through the auto plaza, unless they can turn into that next driveway. But there's a lot of controversy on whether that's going to actually be an entrance or not. But I think, Sally, you said maybe they're going to gate that to avoid the general public from cutting through from Wieuca to Peachtree Dunwoody, which undoubtedly they will. If given the chance to avoid Peachtree, all of us would cut through that development through the church if we could.
Yes, I didn't say they would gate it. I said they're looking into some way because they don't want to encourage cut through traffic through their residential area.
I just want to put it out there. I think it definitely, you're going to be angrier if you're at the 3630 development. But if you're at the church and you're expecting your main entrance to be on Peachtree, they won't be able to get through to, I don't believe, to the church by Peachtree or Peachtree Dunwoody. And that was my comment.
We don't expect it to be our main entrance. It's a ceremonial entrance. Our main entrance is going to be off of Wieuca.
I have a follow-up question back to, I guess, driveway D and the one below it. Is it accurate to get to Peachtree? You have to make a right turn and go up to the traffic circle and swing around and then come up to Peachtree? There's no left turn out of that project until you get to D, or the top one, the northern one?
So I guess if I were in this development and I wanted to go south, you're correct. This is a right in, right out, right? So you
Yes,
can't turn left. You can't turn left. You can't turn left out of there, nor can you turn left out of this driveway either, because there's a median here. That's what we call an R cut as well.
So in both cases, you'll have to go up to the traffic circle and swing around.
Use the traffic circle to make the U-turn maneuver, or this left here, you maybe perhaps could make a U-turn. I'm not sure.
But you also go out the Peachtree Dunwoody exit.
Or you just come straight down to the signal here at Peachtree Dunwoody.
There you go, James.
Or
here's my
or you
point.
could come straight out to Peachtree.
Or come straight out, either depending on which direction you want to go. If you want to go north, south,
The
east, or
point
west.
is, there are a bunch of access points, and traffic will find the least crowded point to allow it to go out.
That's one thing that we found when we were doing originally, and John and I actually both worked on the 3630 building. One of the best parts about it is there are so many areas of disbursement, because it can scatter it to avoid congestion.
Again, since those people can't turn left to get out to get to Peachtree, that's going to drive them through the auto plaza, the 3630 auto plaza, in an effort to get that direction. And they won't be able to traverse it because of the glut. That's my belief.
The amount of cars
John,
that are usually in the plaza, though, parked to either be valeted for the restaurant or the residences, I would think it would, I mean, if it were me, I would come out and go around the roundabout. It would be much easier than to try to wheedle your way through the plaza. That's never been easy.
Yeah.
That's
one of
right,
the things
Sally.
that's
It's not.
one of the things that's really nice about roundabouts, they work wonderfully if you're going to make a U-turn maneuver, because once you get into the roundabout, you have the right of way. Once you're in the roundabout, you have the right of way over anybody and everybody else. So it's really just it's a free flow U-turn. They work great if you want to make a U-turn.
We'll go back to that figure 10 that we started with, that page 10 or whatever it was.
Okay.
So are we saying that in all the cars that are going north and south on Wieuca, the total of those would be, I don't know, on one of them, 1,000 cars? How many, when you tell me everything's coming out of that project and is going north towards Roswell Road, has to do that circle and coming back, and that's included in the traffic counts that are on this map?
Okay, so the traffic volumes you see on this map are traffic that's out there today,
Right?
plus the inflated COVID factor,
Okay.
plus background growth, plus the Ritz, plus this project we're talking about today, our DRI. So it's
Are all over here in these green numbers?
are all in these numbers. Yeah, the morning rush hour is the first number, and then the one in parentheses is the afternoon, like 5 o'clock p.m. peak hour. 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon. This is not just our development traffic. This is, everybody.
No, I hear that. But if I
Traffic,
look at what is not, says 9, below 9, you've got 1,332 cars going north towards Roswell Road, I suppose.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Doesn't it make sense that I would see almost as many coming south on the other side of the loop? Or are those the cars that, are not going to pay attention and they're going to stay on Wieuca Road? What's the leakage there?
So 1,332, when they get to the roundabout, 781 keep going down to Lennox. 630, I'll zoom in a little closer so you can see, would actually turn coming back the other way. So almost 1,000 cars in the PM peak coming this way. So the morning rush hour, afternoon, morning, afternoon. So 1,300, you would have a little bit more heavily weighted towards going down to Lennox and then making a right, probably going to Georgia 400, I suspect. 980 right turners. That's why the Buckhead CID is creating dual rights down here, is because you have 980 vehicles wanting to turn right to go over to 400.
And I have exciting news. They're putting up those lights as we speak.
Oh, fantastic.
I know.
That is great. That was a Kimley Horn design.
I
down there.
know. We
Okay.
worked on that together,
I know.
John. Seems like we work on a lot of projects.
I know, Sally. I know.
So
Well,
John,
Bill-
this is
Yes.
Robert Patterson. Let me ask
Okay,
you,
good.
so
Yes.
in the afternoon, going back to the roundabout, 883 folks are, excuse me, yeah, 883 folks are continuing north on Wieuca.
That's correct.
And by
You're
the
reading
time
it
they
right.
get up to Old Ivy, I guess because of driveway E, that has increased to 1,025.
Not so much driveway E, it's people on Lennox
Oh, yeah.
that make the
Of
left.
course.
This 400, almost 500 cars that turn left. Those are folks that are already on the road, not so much associated with this development.
Yeah.
You're talking about
Okay.
21 cars.
Well, it sounds like it'd be even more than that, 883 plus 500.
It's 1,408 right here. You can see my hand,
Okay.
1,408.
Oh, and then a bunch of them turn left.
And then a
on
bunch of them
Ivy.
turn on left on Old Ivy. Actually, 40% of them turn left onto Old Ivy. So I'm sure they're probably going home.
So, and are these numbers after this project
Yes,
is built, if it's built? Okay.
if it's built and Ritz.
And what is that, what's a comparable number today if it's 1,000 heading north up Wieuca?
It's a great question.
Is that the 5% increase?
That's about this right here. That's more representative of today.
So it's going from 975 to 1,025? 50 more cars per hour heading, that continue north?
It's not per hour, though. That's peak hours.
Right.
Yeah, not per, well, per rush, per the 1 hour, per the 1
Yep.
hour rush hour.
That's
Correct.
right.
I would point out here that if you look at that, there was only one person turning in that whole rush hour period, turning left at the
Mhm.
driveway, at the driveway D. So it goes from 1 without the development to 176.
Cam, do you have any questions? Another member of the zoning committee. Are you still
Hi,
there?
Jim. Yeah, I'm here. I don't know if I guess it's a matter of trust, right? If we trust the traffic people who run all the numbers, then, and they're saying it's acceptable and it's gonna be managed and it's gonna be okay, then we're like, well, it's okay. But if we don't trust their assumptions and how much traffic they are accounting for, then we just have doubts.
Okay. John
That's fair.
Patrick, you got anything?
I guess getting back to that, what we keep on coming back to, that driveway D. If you're coming south and coming through the roundabout and you're trying to make that left turn, and we said that you could get 15 to 20 something cars there. I guess if those cars back up, then that's gonna, in essence, stop the roundabout, right? And say we got to 30 cars, that's gonna make the roundabout stop. Is that correct?
If traffic queues into the roundabout,
Yes.
that would impact the yeah, it would impact and I think where you're going with the question is today, on occasion, from this light down at Peachtree,
Right.
you'll get queuing. And I think, Sally, if I'm not mistaken, there's technology built in to this the functioning of the roundabout that has sensors that will turn this light green to flush that queue out. if,
Yes, we've
if-
got
if the traffic-
cameras. We
yes.
got permission from Georgia DOT to put cameras on it. So they are actively watching. And not only do they have RTOP with the timed
Mhm.
lights that talk to each other so that they can get the flow right. They have a double check with cameras on the roundabout so that they can alternate the lights to flush things out.
You won't be flushing out the people who are going on to, into entrance D though. No matter what you do at Peachtree.
They'll have to wait their turn, Peter.
Hey,
They're gonna be in the roundabout, waiting their turn.
And then I guess my second question is something I haven't heard, and this might be a Woody question. What is the total that we guesstimate of occupants with the apartments, with the commercial space and all that? Is there a worst case? I mean, it's like the most occupants that we feel like will be in, could be there versus the least amount. And what I guess my question is, if you have a 1-car apartment, but yet you think that, you know, there might be 2 cars in a 1-car apartment, or there might be 1 car in a 1-car apartment, what do we have a number of occupants that we think will inhabit this space with the
John, I don't really think it depends on occupants. I think it depends on cars.
cars?
And the cars, I mean, we do have the parking data, which you can scoot up on the site plan there, John, if you want to the right.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean, that is based on the overlay, parking overlay.
Okay.
Now, obviously, a good number of those car parks are associated with the multifamily development, and so some of those, you know, and a lot of them are associated with the church. So the church will have less impact or virtually no impact on the AM and PM peaks. The multifamily has more impact, but less probably than the office does in the peak hours. But that gives you an idea in terms of the total number, and the traffic study has, you know, modeling based on actual data from transportation engineers, Institute of Transportation Engineers, is that right? ITE?
Yeah, that's correct.
That shows how many, based on statistical analysis, how many cars will be generated by X number of square feet of office, X numbers multifamily units, and that's what's programmed into these numbers that John's done.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause I was just, you know, thinking that if you end up having, you know, whatever kind of office space you have, I mean, you could have you know, an office that had, you know, 15 employees per 1,000 square feet, or you could have them putting them in cubicles and have twice that or something, you know. I mean, it's just, that's what I was just wondering if y'all.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, you know, we're at sort of a inflection point to some extent, or I guess we're not there yet, but we'll be there for the post-COVID era to determine how much impact COVID is going to have on office, in the sense of, you know, I think the industry believes very strongly that office will continue to thrive, but there will be more flexibility with hours of work and that kind of thing. So
Okay.
I think that some of these numbers may actually end up being better than the numbers that John has programmed in, because the hours that people go to and from work may shift, and it may spread out more, and people may not go as often. They may go to the office 3 days a week, 4 days a week instead of 5, or, you know, some combination of that. So we're not exactly sure, but
Woody, how
Yes,
many total spaces will be on the site outside of the residential, outside of the single family total
Well,
stuff?
okay, so you have the multifamily and the office are providing for shared parking. So there's a total of 2,024 spaces proposed. And they're proposed to share at a ratio of the 35% that's shown here.
That's okay. That's all I want to know. That was where I was trying to get. So 22,000 spaces is so.
Yes,
You
sir.
know,
And
that's
that's
what
divided
it'll be, I would think.
1,280 for the office and then 744 for the multifamily.
Bob Young, any comments?
I'm still trying to recover from being hit by that Mack truck on the roundabout. No, I haven't. Thank you.
Who have I left off? Robert Patterson, you have any more?
I've got a
Gordon?
question. If the density of the office and or the residential is reduced as a result of discussions between the neighborhood and the developer, whatever. And this is for John Walker, I guess, this question. Is your model such that, I have this idea that your model, you could just tell it, the office density is going from X to Y and the residential tower, multifamily tower is going from, Y to Z or whatever. It would instantly recalculate all these numbers and we could see the new output, the impact of that reduction in density. Is that true, or is it a 3-week exercise to reset all the?
Yeah, we have the ability to do that. Unfortunately, it's not just push the button and then it just, it's not like a microwave, instant done. It's not weeks. It's literally hours, probably depending on what we're changing and how significantly we're changing it.
So if there does end up being some reduction in residential and or office density, and to Jim's point, kind of not just total number of parking spaces, fairly easily we could all see the impact of that change on these various numbers we've been studying.
That's correct.
Yeah, I have a question about after this development gets done, assuming everything works out, who is responsible for kind of fixing the traffic and redoing a study to see if the traffic is flowing as planned? Is this the city's responsibility at that point to fix the congestion, or is it the developers?
There are various agencies that are continually doing traffic studies. GDOT, because it's a state route, GDOT, they have our top corridor manager that's constantly monitoring the traffic. You have the Buckhead CID that provides studies, and obviously they've got various intersection improvements in the area. So City of Atlanta, so the agency, City of Atlanta, Buckhead CID, or GDOT.
They would fund any kind of correction or whatever has to be done to fix it.
Well, the other source would be transportation impact fees. In the City of Atlanta, new developments, there's impact fees that are paid that could be applied to improvements in the area. So that's another source of how to make improvements happen down the road.
We have already discussed writing legislations to capture the transportation impact fees for specific improvements.
Oh,
And
that's fantastic.
And that's in the order of $1.5 million.
A couple people we haven't heard from. Gil, are you on?
Yes, I am. I was.
Any comments?
Yes, I kind of piggyback on John Patrick and Robert's kind of a before and after. So the modeling takes, as you all explained very well, current data, historic data, and then what's going to be ultimately the egress ingress. So there's a 500 square foot office, there's a 400 living unit high rise, and then there's a 50 homes or townhomes. So I really would like to see those three things all bundled together, broken out, and then what is the traffic increase because of the office, the 400 living units and the 50 townhomes. And I think that's kind of what John Patrick was trying to get to and Robert was getting to. And John Walker was saying, yes, you can do it. It takes several hours or maybe a day worth of modeling.
Yeah.
But I would really like to see that delta of this thing's fully built and fully functioning, and it's, 80% occupancies of, or 100% occupancies of these things. So that's really my comment. Any response to that, to NBCA? I mean, that's how you really understand the impact of this. I think there's a great job of the roundabout and what we're doing, but how does this, what is that incremental delta that this development that we're trying, to understand, how does it fit?
What do you got any suggestions on how to answer that?
Well, I mean, I think we are in discussions on various changes. We could look at the potential of if we, instead of X number of square feet of one use, we have Y number, then we could potentially do that. We're not going to do that for an infinite number because we're talking about, even though it is computerized, et cetera, it's still expensive time. But we'll be glad to, model some different scenarios as we go along, I guess. But
Gil, are you speaking of differentiating between what the townhomes and single family homes will generate as opposed to the parking deck that's shared by multifamily and office?
Honestly, I'm not really overly, I'm not talking about the parking deck. The cars have to go somewhere. So, depending on how much office space and such, they're going to put the, right now it's modeled at 2,000. Really, to me, it's how many people are coming in and out of these complexes. So that's the traffic study. So if all this work of the roundabout and such is being done before this project is finally completed in a couple of years, what is the incremental demand on these streets and traffic with a high rise of 500,000 square feet, 400 living unit high rise and 50 homes? What is that incremental delta? So Woody, I'm really not asking, well, let's do it at a 90% or an 80%. Right now, you all have on the table, and there's been nothing coming back other than the original proposal, is the 500,000 office, 400 living and 50 townhomes. What does that do to this? What is the incremental delta to this traffic?
You want to know the delta, yeah, from today's condition, or if it, for not today's, but a post-pandemic condition versus
With the traffic.
Right,
kind of a no build scenario versus build scenario.
And we have that. That's in the traffic study.
I thought
No
that-
build versus build is already in the traffic study.
I know it's already, you say it's in there, but I'd like to understand, what is it? Does it start at, without this development, is it a factor? I'll just throw a number out just to, the unit is 1,213, but with all this in, it goes to 2,000. And don't take those numbers literally, just trying to give an illustration. So you're
Okay,
saying,
well, we can dig that out and get that for you. That's no problem. And I think that, so you're asking a little bit different scenario than Robert had gone down the road, or I understood what Robert was saying, which was if we,
Patrick,
Robert Patterson. So my understanding of what Robert Patterson was asking was if we did reduce the office by a certain percentage, or we reduce the multifamily by a certain percentage, what could that be remodeled and understand the difference? And wasn't that what you were asking, Robert?
Yeah, right.
Well, so those are slightly different, but we have your answer, Gil, so we can do that. We can dig that out and get that to you.
Well, I'm sure it's not here from no bill to complete bill, but maybe some kind of exponential. But yeah, I would like to understand from
Yeah.
a no bill scenario to a complete the way it's proposed now, and that at least makes us understand, the traffic impact. Because I mean, one of the points I think a lot of us have said, density, 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 and so is it ultimately putting a 30% increase in mischief and traffic on these roads that were going to be upgraded anyway?
Hey,
And I just kind of,
Gil, thank you.
but
I'm sorry, we're supposed to close this thing at 4:30. We're not going to quite make it. Gordon?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for us? I think you're the only one who signed in that I haven't spoken to or asked for comments for.
Yeah, I've got a concern. We've got the roundabout construction slated. We got the construction of this site slated. What comes first and what interactions are possible? That to me, the roundabout construction is going to be a nightmare, but maybe it's not. But what happens first, and what care has been taken to make sure that there's no unfavorable interactions between the?
Well, the first thing that will happen will be the roundabout, because I think it's slated to begin construction first quarter of next year. So it will definitely precede. We will, assuming we're on our current schedule, we will not get out of permitting until substantially after that date.
Okay.
So, the residential portion, meaning the single family townhome portion of this development, would be the first to come out of permitting, and it still would be substantially behind when the construction of the roundabout begins.
Okay. What
At that point, can you give us a, projected start of construction date for the residential and the office and the multifamily?
Yes.
I mean, now or?
It'd be let's see, I don't know.
Yeah, a swag.
Kyle is still,
Wild.
so you're
yes.
talking about 6 months of, at least 6 months in permitting. So the first construction that would occur on the site would likely be in June of 23, if not later. And that would just be the residential side. Multifamily would be
June of 22. June of 22.
June of 22, yeah. And then the next likely would be the multifamily piece. And I don't know, Harvey, you have an idea about that? Because I think Kyle's no longer on.
Yeah, it's best guess late 22, early 23. Same for the office.
Wow.
okay. And I have one last question, I guess, being kind of a novice at traffic studies and that, but if you're saying that there's 2,000 parking spaces, of course, I guess there's a percentage of you're going to have overages on that, and thinking that maybe they're all 2,000 aren't going to be used. But if you say that maybe worst case, they are parking decks in Atlanta that I know that are constantly full and can't find parking. Before COVID, I closed to the law office and I couldn't find a parking space to save my life most of the time. But and you think about a 10-hour work week or work day that people are going to be coming in and out. And I know some residents, I don't leave my house some days, but you're talking about 200 cars out of that in a 10-hour span leaving per hour. I mean, is that how y'all kind of calculate this? Is my question.
No, and John can answer this better than I can, but this is based on statistical analysis that Institute of Transportation Engineers has come up with data tables based on the type of use, et cetera, and how many people enter and exit in the AM and PM hour, the hour in the AM and the hour in the PM where the greatest concentration occurs.
Right.
And that's when the problems occur, because you go up and down Wieuca and Peachtree Dunwoody all the time, you know that most of the time it's not a problem, but
Sure.
at certain times it can be a problem.
Right.
So the traffic generation, how many cars come in and out during the morning and in and out in the afternoon, is not directly associated with the number of parking spaces. It's actually determined based on what type of land use. Is it office? Is it retail? Is it restaurant? Is it residential?
Right.
And we know the peaking characteristics of the land uses. So it's based on square footage or number of units. That's actually where the traffic is more directly associated.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a good question, though.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Just a second, Robert, Jim,
Yes,
is,
sir.
when is this going to MPUB? Is it not this week? Is it next month? What?
It's next month. It will not go to NPUB.
Okay, so a month from tomorrow, it'll be with Bill Murray's group.
Bill
That's-
Murray has it on his agenda for the 31st of August.
Yeah, I thought it was, yeah. Very end of
Thank
this month.
Thank you.
Yes, it is August already.
Now, I'm happy for everybody to stay on the phone, stay on the Zoom, but I want to talk a little internal meeting business as it relates to the zoning committee itself for those that are here. But Woody, Sally, it's your pleasure. Harvey?
All right. I'm gonna stop recording.
Okay. You mean